Hello, party people. Your dreams have now been fulfilled. Because today, we're talking about the Manny 2. Now, there is a chance that you saw my Manny 1. I guess we're calling it the Manny 1 now. The original Manny, I did a video on that. And I did not like that. For a couple of reasons. I won't go into all of them right now. But shortly after I made that video and posted it, like, when I say shortly, I mean like within a couple of days, maybe a week, Schiit Audio released this. This is the Manny 2. And it addresses, interestingly enough, all of the issues I had with the original Manny. And now, to give you a slight recap of what I really didn't like about it, the high overview is that the loading options were confusing, and my biggest gripe was that it claims to be a moving coil phono preamp, and I don't know that it's the best moving coil preamp. Actually, the original one is really super limited in terms of moving coil capabilities with low output cartridges. And so a lot of people got angry at that review, and I wasn't surprised, because when you criticize something that lots of people love, like the Manny, it's been out forever and everyone loves it, which I even stated in that video, I knew people were going to get upset. But I had to call it like I saw it. And for a moving coil cartridge, the original Manny, for at least a low output moving coil cartridge, the original Manny probably wouldn't work for you. And I say that knowing the price range of these things. The original one was like, what, $129? This one's, I think, $149. And so when I'm looking at a device like this in this price range, you figure, okay, well, people are going to be using lower cost moving coil cartridges. And if you want to use a lower output one, the loading options that they gave you were 47 ohm or 400 or 47k ohm. 47k will work for moving coil cartridges that are high output, but will not work with low output. Whereas the 47 ohm one will work with very few, especially in the price range of what this is going to deal with. So looking at what I think are like what I would consider low output moving coils that someone would probably mate with this thing, or not this thing, but the other one, or, you know, a $200 phono preamp, you have stuff like the Denon, the DL103, the 103R, the cartridge that I have, which is the 301 MK2. You have the Hana, the lower output one, the Sumiko Songbird, and then like you have the Ortofon Quintet series. And looking at the loading requirements for all of those four types, four brand names, the only ones that will work are the Ortofons. Those ones require at least 20 ohm of load. Everything else requires over 100. The Sumiko and the Denons require over 100. The Hanas, those require over 200. And so in buying the original one, I didn't really know a lot about loading. I kind of understood the concept vaguely, but I didn't know as much as I understand now, which is, it's easier to, you can go up, and you might not have an ideal sound, but it'll be okay. If you go lower than the requirement, it'll sound bad. Straight up, not good. So I didn't know that going in. I found that out during. And so looking at a Phono preamp, if you have a low output moving coil cartridge, you want to look at the loading specs of your cartridge and make sure it will work with whatever. If it's the Manny 2, if it's, something else out there, like a project, whatever, just verify that it's going to work. And if it's lower than what it has, that's fine. If the specs are higher, it's probably not going to work. So we got that out of the way. So for everyone who was big mad about that review, which there was definitely one guy who's still mad about it. Oh well. Let's take a look at this thing, because this thing has all kinds of new options. One more thing about the people who were big mad. What I find the most interesting is that lots of people said that I was wrong about the other one. Well, if I were wrong, then why did Schiit put this out with everything resolved? So, I mean, essentially, like, you're looking at this, like, it looks the same except for where it says Manny 2, but like the bottom is where the action happens, really. So now you have they added filtering, which is nice. I don't ever use something like that. That is to take like low end rumble out of your system. I don't really find that to be a problem. You have gain that actually makes sense. It's labeled properly. It works well. It's, now intuitive. Now the best part for me is the loading options. So now they still kept the 47 ohm, which is great because if you have one of the Orphans, it'll work with that. And now it has 200, which means that's going to work with the Denons, and that's going to work with what was the other? The Sumikos. That's awesome. It also has capacitance for people with moving magnet cartridges that need to modify the capacitance. You have that option. That's great. Fantastic. So I should say that if you have a HANA, like the EL, the low, they have what, two budget cartridges. One's an EL. If it has the L, it signifies low. This isn't going to work. You're going to need something with over 400. So, this adds a lot more flexibility, but it's still not perfect. But at $150, you can expect perfection. But what you have are really great options for most budget moving coil cartridges. Awesome. You guys did a great job with that. This makes a whole lot more sense. It was clearly better designed than the original one was. Bravo. Not sure why it took as long as it did. That part is real interesting for me. But better late than never, I guess. So let's talk about the sound. Now I played this on my moving coil system, which is a VPI Scout with a Denon DL301MKII into this guy, into the Nobsound 12AX7 preamp, I was running this into a Dynaco ST70 power amp tube. There's going to be a review for that coming up soon-ish, probably next week or 2 weeks. If that interests you, subscribe. And my initial thoughts were, wow, it sounds fantastic. Fantastic. There was nothing I didn't like about the sound. It's balanced. It's detailed. I was kind of shocked how good it sounded. It's definitely sounded, even when I added my own loading, that made the Manny 1 usable, this still sounded way better than that, by a wide margin. Let's talk about your other options and where I think they fare in this. So if you've watched any of my other reviews, I did actually sort of a ranking. Let's re-rank this. The Emotiva XPS-1 Gen 2, which I do believe is going bye-bye. This was, I think, my number 2 in that list for the moving coil. Go find it. It's out there. I don't remember. That's how bad my ADD is and how short-term my memory is. So if you have a Denon or the Sumiko, the Manny will be much better than this. If you need the 400 plus, if you have a Hana, this one would be preferable. This is what I found. The Manny, too, has a much better soundstage and clarity than the Emotiva. The Emotiva has a lot of bass, which kind of overpowers all of that, at least in my system, and probably yours too. This sounded significantly better than this. I believe Emotiva is reworking this. Good luck beating the Manny 2. You have some real competition there. I would be shocked if it sounds as good as this. That's how good this sounds. Really good. This, unless you really need the loading options, I would go with that. And then my number 1 was this, and this is the Bugle2. Ignore that, because that's not what it is anymore. I modified it to be 60 dB, and I increased the loading to, I think, in the 300s. I don't remember. That was 7 years ago. I can't even remember what I ranked these. I do know that I ranked this one number 1. Comparing this guy to this guy, it is a coin flip of which one sounds better. This one is more laid back and therefore has a little bit more clarity. This has a bit more punch, a little bit more bass, not as much as the Emotiva, but definitely more bass than this. And I don't really find this one, the Manny 2, wanting for bass, whereas this one is more bass punchy. And therefore, everything is about, everything's a trade-off, right? Like either you have a lot of bass and that muddies the sound stage a little bit and you don't have the clarity, blah, 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 blah. This guy, he kind of straddles the line. There's going to be some music and some systems where the Bugle2 sounds better than the Manny 2. Because the Bugle2 is a little bit more exciting sounding, a little bit more punchy, a little bit more bass heavy. And we're not talking by huge amounts, but, very easily noticeable. These are both made in the U.S. This is made in Hawaii. This is made in Texas. This is made in China. The Bugle 3 now has switches. You don't actually have to modify the resistors, so that's great. I don't have a Bugle 3, but if I did, I would love to compare them. I don't think I'm going to buy one, but if Hagerman wants to send me one, I will compare it and tell you the truth. Because if I'm not telling you the truth, then what I'm talking about is all meaningless. So, the Bugle 2 was, I don't remember. I bought this used. This is a long time ago. The Bugle 3 is $200. Where this definitely beats this is plastic case. You're going to get interference with, if your cell phone is near it, if you have a Bluetooth streaming device, that might interfere. If you don't have any of that, I'm sure you have a cell phone. You're watching this on a computer, you're not a Luddite, right? Depending on how close your cell phone is to this, it might start making those weird cell phone noises that, I don't know if you've ever heard them, but they're, interesting. Kind of cool. Someone's probably going to start a band with those noises in it. So, this metal case is better than that, because this metal case prevents those noises. really what it comes down to is you have to listen to your system and know what it's lacking or what you like or the music that you like. If you listen to a lot of hip hop, you probably want something like this where it's going to punch a little bit harder. If you listen to more acoustic music, that will be better. And I would say that if you don't know what you like, I think this one's probably the better way to go. The Manny 2 is probably the safer bet. So, I guess that means that the Manny has gone from the lowest ranking moving coil cartridge, Phono, Preamp, under $200 to number 1? Amazing. Amazing. Fantastic. I don't know what else to say other than they nailed it. They nailed it. You know what I would love? I would love Schiit to come out with like a $500 Phono preamp with more loading options, more gain options. You know, not this footprint. I think that would be fantastic. I think they have the ability to make something that would rival things way more expensive than $500 if they so want to. But yeah, buy this. Oh, I guess I should mention that I did not listen to it on a moving magnet system, which I do have access to. The reason being is because the Manny 1 sounded fine. So I'm going to guess for moving magnet, this also sounds fine. This probably sounds better. I would have to imagine. So probably still fantastic. Probably better for moving magnet. I just wanted to address moving coil because that's really where they fixed it. Good job.